to my channel. I'm Solange. For those of you who are new here, I'm so happy to have you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to draft a basic straight skirt. So if this is something you'd like to learn how to do, please keep watching. For this tutorial, we're going to need the following materials. We're also going to need the following measurements in inches. Using your waist, hip, and skirt length measurements, follow the formula as shown on the screen. I took my waist measurement, which is 35 divided by 4, and added 2 inches. That gave me 10 3/4 inches. I took my hip measurement, 43 divided by 4, added 1 inch, got 11.75 inches. And the skirt length I wanted was 22, but I added 2 inches for hem allowance, which gave me 24. Starting at the top of the paper, I'm marking my 10 3/4 inch going across. The next thing I'm going to do is mark down 8 inches, and I'm going to also square that across. This is to create my hip line measurement. Using my ruler, I'm just going to draw a line straight across. So I'm just labeling my lines. That's my waistline, and this is going to be my hip line. Now I had got 11 3/4 inch, so I'm just going to put that measurement right on the line that I just created when I marked down 8 inches. Now I'm just going to mark down my skirt length. I wanted my skirt to be 22 inches long, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark down 22 inches. And use my ruler to just draw a line straight across. Now I'm going to go ahead and add back that 2 inches that we had added previously in the calculation to the 22 inches to give us our full skirt length, including hem allowance, which will be 24 inches long. Of course, labeling these marks so that we can remember what each line is for. On the skirt length line, I'm just going to put the same measurement that I had calculated for my hip line, which is the 11 3/4 inch. Now we're just going to connect our waistline to our hip line and our hip line to the end of this hem line. The next thing we're going to do is mark 1/2 inch at the very top of the skirt and draw like a diagonal line connecting it to the end of the waistline measurement. Now if you want your skirt to be like a very straight skirt, you can go ahead and leave it as such. However, I wanted mine to be just in a little bit, not as much as a pencil, but just a little bit closer to my knees. So I went ahead and put a 1/2 inch allowance on the inside. And then from the hem allowance line, I'm also marking up 1/2 inch from the outer edge and drawing a diagonal line towards the middle of my hem allowance line. If you just look, guys, you're going to get it. It's very, very easy. Where you see me indicated the X at the very bottom of the pattern, we're no longer going to use that line because we already created our new diagonal line. Here is a better view of what I was speaking about. So we have our waistline, and if you look very closely, you're going to see that there is a diagonal line from the end of the waist coming to the front. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut out our pattern. Now this is our front pattern. And look very closely, I am cutting along the inner line that I created after, so that my skirt can have a closer fit toward my legs. And I'm cutting along the top line because we had indicated earlier that we're no longer using that bottom line of the skirt pattern. Now guys, the next thing that we're going to do is fold the top part of our pattern in half and give it a little notch. This is to help us get the center of the skirt because we have to put a dart here. Now our dart is going to be 5 inches long, so from the very center that we just notched, we're going to mark down with our inch measure 5 inches. From the middle point where we just notched, we're going to measure 1/2 inch on each side. Next thing we're going to do is draw a line from the center straight down to where we marked our 5 inches. Let me just get this a bit closer so that you guys can see exactly what I'm speaking about. So we have our 5 inches from the middle straight down. The next thing that we're going to do, using our ruler from either side of the 1/2 inch marks, we're going to just connect it like a triangle as you see me doing here. And that's it for the dart. Our front pattern for our skirt is now complete. I'm just putting some extra markings. So this is my side seam, and the other side would be where I'm going to put unfold, and we're only going to need to cut this once on our fabric. That was really easy, guys, wasn't it? This line I'm indicating is that we're going to cut this fabric selvage to selvage. So when you lay the pattern on the fabric, this is the exact position it's going to be in. Now we're going to work on the back pattern. And this is going to be even more simple because we're going to use the exact front pattern that we just created so that we won't have to go from scratch. So the first thing that we're going to do, using a straight square, we're going to mark down 2 inches all the way down. Now that we have our 2-inch line, we're going to take our front pattern where the fold area is, and we're going to just place it at the very end of our 2-inch line that we just created. Now you want to ensure that your pattern is laying as flat as possible. If you have pattern weights, you can put them on the paper, but I don't have any at the moment, so I'm just using some tape to try to help the front pattern to stay as flat as possible on our new paper. The next thing I'm about to do is trace out the bottom edge straight up to the side seam of our front pattern paper onto our new pattern paper so that we can be able to create the back pattern. This is a very good technique because in this case, you wouldn't have to create a whole back pattern from scratch. Once you're finished tracing it out, you can go ahead and remove your front pattern and just go over the lines to make sure that you have all of the lines traced out properly. We're also just going to need to trace out where the dart was. So what I'm doing here is just put in the 3 lines for the middle part of the dart along with the half-inch part, so I will know exactly where the dark for the back is supposed to be. And I'm just drawing on my 5 inches and connecting the dart the same way we did when we did the front pattern. Here is a closer look, guys. You see, it's the exact same thing as the front with 2 inches added. That's where our zipper allowance is going to be. The back pattern will not be needing a diagonal line as the front one had. Now what I'm doing here is just drawing up my 2 inches hem allowance the same way I did for my front pattern, because I realized after that I did not trace that back. And of course, indicating that this is our back pattern, we do not want to get confused at all. From the 2-inch line that we started out with, I'm just going to divide it in half. So I'm just going out 1 inch and I'm going to draw a line straight down from the top to the end of the skirt pattern. And of course, I'm just indicating what lines are which. Oops, guys, I just realized that I did make an error. That is not my hem allowance line. That is my skirt length line. And the very last line at the bottom is my hem allowance line. So I'm just correcting that. Now guys, this step is optional. However, I'm going to just add in a slit. So our skirt is going to have a lapped slit. However, you can choose to leave the pattern just as is and do a regular straight slit. What I just did was go up 7 inches from the hem allowance line and I'm just squaring it across. Now, that is going to be the length of our slip. By the time we hem up our 2 inches, our slit is only going to be 5 inches long. And that's it. All that's left to do is cut out our pattern. So just look carefully at the lines at which I'm cutting to ensure that you're cutting the correct ones as well. Now these are our front and our back pattern already cut out. What's left to do is for us to place them on fabric. I will be showing you how to put this pattern into play on a nice piece of fabric in the next video. So just to go over what we did, we took our waistline measurement, we marked it across and then we went down 8 inches, squared across a line for our hip line measurements, and then we went down our full skirt length and added our 2 inches hem allowance. We then placed the front pattern on a clean sheet of paper so that we can trace out to create our back pattern. This area right here is for the zipper allowance and this is for a slit allowance, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you learned something new so that you can share it with your friends, your family. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.